All right, welcome back. Nice to see you again. Next, we're talking about popovers, which I've mentioned a couple times are very similar to tooltips. So please, unless you're a completionist or you have a use for these and you care about them, don't feel like you have to watch this video right now, because it is preventing you from getting to carousels and more exciting things. So popovers, they look like tooltips, except they have a title. You can see here. They're styled slightly different, right? They're black by default, or they're white by default instead of black. They have the title and then your text in there. They stay, so I can turn it on and off. And if I click away, by default, it stays. Now there's another option to make one dismissible where you click somewhere else and it goes away. And the important thing to note is that they also, like tooltips, they're not included by default. You have to initialize them yourself. And I didn't mention this in the tooltips video, but you have to include the Popper.js library for these to work, which we've been doing, and every single time, every single file we've written includes it by default. Now, if you never use tooltips or popovers, you could get rid of it, but I just wanted to make it simple, so we always include it. So let's get started. The most basic one that we can do, let's make a button. When you click on it, you get a little popover. So I have a new file. I need to change the title here to be popovers. Open it up with live server, and let's add a button. So we'll do button, btn, let's do btn, sure, danger, and let's also make it large. And then I'll just say, click me. So here's our button. Of course, nothing happens right now. So what we do is give it data toggle set to popover. Then we give it a title to give it the title of the popover, and then data-content for the content of our popover. So let's do that now. Data-toggle equals popover. If we compare that with what we did for the tooltip, remember that we did data toggle tooltip. Now we're doing data toggle popover. So we'll give it a title that says my first popover. Okay. And then we do data-content and set that equal to, this is sort of cool, I guess. Thanks for clicking. Okay. And if we go over here, nothing's going to happen. And that's because they're not enabled. We have to manually do it. So then that's where we come down, or come up, I guess, for their example code. This is the way to enable all popovers on your page. If you're not familiar with JavaScript, what we need to do is come down after these scripts loaded. We have to have jQuery, then we have to have Popper, and then Bootstrap's JavaScript. Then we add our own script. And it would be best to do this on a separate file, a separate script, and include it like this. But to make this clear, I'm doing it this way. Okay, and so we have this code that says, okay, when the page is loaded, find everything that has data toggle set to popover and make it a popover. And remember last time we had find everything set to data toggle tooltip and make it a tooltip. So you can have both of them. You would just do a separate line here and do this. Whatever the tooltips are, make them work. So I'll leave both there so that I can also add a tooltip. I'll show you in just a moment. But let's make sure this works. There we go, my first popover. Now we can also change the direction. So to do that, we do data placement again and change it to top or bottom or something. So let's do another one, and we'll make this one warning and do data-placement equals, what was the default here? Right, let's do bottom. Now we have our second popover. It stays there until you click again. So the last thing we can do is compare it to a tooltip. So let's grab one of our tooltips here. We have a success button. Let's do this one. And just put it in here. And we'll have it say, I am a tooltip. Or I guess the button isn't a tooltip, but tooltip trigger. All right, so what I want to show you is that you do need to initialize these separately. Right now we just have the popovers coming up. The tooltip is not hovering, it doesn't do anything. So I need to enable that, and now it works. So these are separate things. It's just that they look similar. They're both similar in the sense that you have to enable them manually. And, this is, I guess, I'm having a hard time deciding how much JavaScript to go into, because I know a lot of my students who are taking this are not comfortable with JavaScript as well. So if you do know jQuery and JavaScript, you can get a lot more advanced. This is targeting all popovers and making them active in all tooltips. You could get specific and just do it for one if it has an ID on it, or do it based off of the class instead. But this is fine for now. This just enables all of them, wherever they are on the page. Okay, so that's popovers. Next, we're moving on to other components.